Premier, you've been called Premier of the Opposition in that room. How alone are you really?
Well, I guess tomorrow will tell. I think there are other premiers who are concerned about at least the timing of a new national carbon tax or a floor tax, if you will. And, you know, that's what I've been saying. We have an energy sector that's reeling. We have a Canadian economy that's struggling. And so the timing of a new national carbon tax is probably not right. Even in Saskatchewan, we have legislation in place and a framework that will allow for a carbon levy for heavy emitters with proceeds into a tech fund that can actually focus on fixing the problem. But I've announced in Saskatchewan that now's not the time for that levy because it will hit a sector that's already dealing with $30 a barrel. And I think that's enough challenge for that particular sector. So we're saying now's not the time, and I'm hopeful that other premiers will, I think there has been support, frankly, and we'll know more tomorrow about other premiers also supporting that idea.
So your opposition is all about timing. It's not about the principle of a tax or a levy, as you call it. That is something that you don't fundamentally oppose. You just don't want it now. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct. We do have a framework for a carbon levy in the province for high emitters, as I've highlighted. And I'm not sure the timing is going to be right anytime soon. The energy sector has been hit very, very hard. That, by the way, doesn't preclude provinces and the country from taking action. You know, in Saskatchewan, I think we've made the largest per capita investment in carbon mitigation in the country, public sector investment, with a CO2 sequestration plant at one of our coal-fired plants in southeast Saskatchewan. That is going to sequester, that's going to capture about 800,000 tons of CO2 and perhaps answer a worldwide question, because as we're doing this interview, Peter, Canada's responsible for 2% of world emissions, but there are 1,000 coal plants being built around the world. And so our message is, you know, rather than to focus on a new tax or some fiscal instrument to treat CO2, let's focus on technology that can help here at home, but also can provide some international answers where, frankly, coal's being built out and arguably is a much bigger challenge to climate change than Canadian emissions.
All right, let me just understand what you're suggesting here, because you've all agreed in some fashion to move on certain targets to bring carbon emissions down. What you're suggesting is that there are different ways of doing that, and different provinces have different ideas on how to move forward on that. So are we saying that a checkerboard Canada, where some provinces may have a carbon tax, some provinces may move on the mitigation front, as you're talking about Saskatchewan doing, that's okay, it still ends up with the same goal, the same national goal?
It's the end result that counts. The checkerboard's not important. It's are we going to win the game at the end of when the checkerboard's cleared? And I think that's the point we're making, and other premiers have made it. You know, some provinces have already largely achieved significant emissions reductions goals. Nova Scotia is a good example. Nova Scotia has done a lot of heavy lifting and made a lot of important changes to clean up with respect to GHG emissions. And so I think it's fair to say to the provinces of Canada, look, here are the targets. We got to get to them. We have to do better as a country, but we don't have to dictate a new national tax. You know, in our province, even $15 a ton means $400 to $500 more per family per year, and it means $500 million out of our economy at a time when we can least afford it. We do have a diversified economy in Saskatchewan. We still have other sectors creating jobs, taking up some of the slack from the energy sector, but now is not the time for a new tax, a national tax that would hit a sector, the energy sector, that's already reeling across the country.
All right. We're going to have to leave it there, Premier. We appreciate your time. Premier Brad Wall of Saskatchewan here in Vancouver. Thanks very much.
Thank you.